Alright, we're gonna hop into game 2 of the Live Sandbox versus DRX series. Looks like we have the Renata ban from the DRX side. They opted for blue side, not too surprising, and Live Sandbox is banning Callista. Yumi ban coming through. Looks like they're targeting Kyle's champion pool. Not too surprised by this. Kyle has been sort of an enchanter one-trick pony. So of everyone on Live Sandbox, he strikes me as the easiest to sort of pin down with targeted bans. Live Sandbox opting for the Solace ban. Solace is obviously really strong right now. Zeka also he's one of the champions that Zeka does like to play. Azir ban coming through, and then the Sivir ban from the side of Live Sandbox. Obviously Sivir is the #1 priority AD carry. Live Sandbox need to ban it if DRX aren't going to ban it. That way DRX can't pick it. Poppy pick comes through. We'll see if Live Sandbox opts to pick AD carry jungle on 1-2. They could go for the Zeri since they're still playing on patch 12.14. And she should still be fairly strong. Or they could go for one of the other AD carry support duos that have been fairly high priority, like the Lucian Nami, take that away from DRX. Or looks like they're just gonna lock in the Ornn. I don't know if he's a first pick priority, but it looks like they like having a team composition. Just locking in that Ornn Ahri once again. Perhaps holding and seeing what DRX are opting for in their bot lane before they pick for Live Sandbox, giving Prince and Kyle a chance to counterpick maybe. Once again, since this is playoffs, I don't know what any of these teams have been holding as like up their sleeve secret picks throughout this season. It's possible that in their scrims, Live Sandbox have devised counters to Lucian Nami and they've just been waiting to play them. You never know. Obviously, I think Live Sandbox don't want to use any cards against DRX. They're the third place team. They'd like to hold any secret technology they've developed for against T1 or Gen G at the earliest, if not wait until Worlds to use those. Getting through this series should... I don't know if it actually locks them for Worlds or not. Depending on the other series that'll happen the following night. Let's see. KT and Sandbox weren't in playoffs. As long as Damwon beats KT, I believe Live Sandbox should be locked for Worlds if they win this series. If I'm not mistaken. I'll double check that later though. Because obviously Korea doesn't have any double elimination. Going back to the draft though, it looks like DRX did just opt for the Zeri pick. She's obviously the last remaining S tier AD carry unbanned. They didn't take the Gwen as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Jax ban maybe come through if these two teams have been playing the Jax Gwen matchup. Oh wait, actually no, I'm trolling. They've already locked in the Ornn. So unless Ornn was like swapped to support, then just picking the Gwen into the Ornn, pretty favorable matchup for the Gwen. Obviously Ornn will still do Ornn things in the late game. Vi picked up, she is still another one of those upper echelon jungles. Obviously picking the Vi into the Poppy isn't quite ideal, but there's no better jungle pick for closer here, aside from maybe the Trundle, but picking Trundle into Zeri kind of sucks. Along with the Gwen, it'll just get kited out, and they want someone who can lock down this Zeri in the team fights, and obviously Vi will be able to do that. So we see the Nyla Lucian really trying to push the bot lane onto some unorthodox picks. We did see the Tristana and the Aphelios come out in these sorts of situations in China. Looks like it will be the Aphelios for Prince, in which case I would expect a pretty heavy engage support to be paired along with him, either the Nautilus or the Thresh. One of those could be taken away here by Beryl. And with regards to the mid matchup into the Ahri, we might just see a control mage come out. It would be a bit strange to see. Swain sort of fell off in the last few weeks of summer. I don't think he's too bad. He wasn't nerfed particularly in any way, to my recollection. People just stopped playing him. is locked in for Zeka though. So, new pick for the series. We'll see what Barrel opts for. Looks like he's going to go for hovering the Leona. Leona series fine. I still would like to see him pick away a support that's better with the Aphelios. Aphelios kind of sucks with Leona. Aphelios really likes the hook engage supports that can provide him a lot of consistent peel. But we'll just be the Leona for Barrel. Obviously, Barrel has a skin on Leona. Well known for this champion. I don't like Aphelios Tahm Kench. He doesn't feel like one of those AD carries that you want the Tahm Kench just pocketing, like a Senna or like a Kog'Maw. But looks like the Sandbox are deciding they want it. Honestly, I like DRX's comp a lot more than Sandbox's in this game. I think you have a lot better scaling with the Zeri over the Aphelios. Your support is just all around better, except for maybe eating the Aphelios for 2 seconds. But the problem is there's no big cooldowns that Kyle is saving Prince from. If he eats the Aphelios and gets knocked away by the Poppy ult, now they're down 2 people in an important team fight. If he eats the Aphelios while Gwen is ulting, well, Gwen will just save her ult for when he gets spit out. So, overall, I just think the drafting was really questionable from Lift Sandbox here. I don't know why they're first picking Ornn. It's possible Kingen would have just wanted to play the Ornn, but Dove is a good enough player to play the Gwen matchup counterpick, and that trade can happen later in the draft phase. I also don't think Ahri is second pick worthy. So we do see some fan banners. Those are really cool. The circles. One of every single one. Oh, and some nice encouraging stuff on the back. Really happy for Sandbox fans being able to push to third place. Obviously, DRX on the ropes a little bit. People had pretty high hopes for this team. Deft with a real support this year. Some promising young players in Zeka, and Pyosik isn't exactly a young player anymore, but he has been a very solid jungle in Korea for a pretty long time. Well, a fairly standard time, I should say. It looks like we'll be hopping onto the Rift soon. We'll see how each of these teams sort of set up. We'll see if like DRX tries to go for an invade with their Leona. Obviously, Leona level 1 isn't the best engaged, but you do have that flash stun. And it's not like Lift Sandbox's level 1 is any better with level 1 Vi and Aphelios Tahm. Just some standard 5-point defense. Early ward there by Barrel, just to see if Lift Sandbox go for a cheeky Tribush check onto Deft. For the most part, pretty standard positioning. Looks like the bot lanes will just be getting control of their lane early. Pyosik moving down though. Looks like he wants to start red buff and path up into the Ornn. Krako will be pathing down, starting on the red buff. Nothing too unusual for either of these champions. However, both junglers will be starting leashless, so as not to give any information away to the other team. Good trade by Closer. Nullified somewhat by the Bone Plating. But obviously, Bone Plating was one of those runes that got nerfed on patch 12.14. The entire resolve tree was, though, but looking at the runes, we actually see both mid laners taking resolve secondary. So, clearly the value that they place in just reducing burst or lane poke still there. Having a look at the win rates, Kingen's Gwen, 1-3, not the greatest win rate, 1-2 for Deft on the Seri. Honestly, quite impressive, just given how broken this champion is, but I would assume Deft was playing into the Sivir, and that matchup is fairly even. So we see Deft taking some pretty heavy poke from Prince. Ornn now 8-0 for Dove. Just farming wins on the old king of the top lane. 8-3 for this mid-jungle duo. Let's see if they'll be able to replicate their success in this game. Obviously, it's 8-3, 3 in one of those being Live Sandbox. So if you take Live Sandbox out of the equation, it's 5-2. Still a pretty respectable win rate. I think if we're counting that last game of closers, Ari, I don't think he did anything too incredible on it. Was just sort of there for the ride. Had some decent charms in the mid game. He wasn't inting though, which is a good sign for your mid laner when you have an AD carry like Prince on your team. Prince opting for the Cole start. Wants to just scale up. Doesn't think there will be much action in this lane. Potions were nerfed anyways, so the Longsword 3 potion start is kind of bad, I would say. Deft did still opt to go for it, I guess worried about the range difference between him and Prince and getting poked consistently. -1 for Dove. Does manage to get these two, though. Only 5 CS down. Pretty good. DRX does have some slight CS leads across the board, though, as both of these junglers have finished their full clears, now going for their respective Krabbies. Actually, how did this happen? It looks like Kroko did 3 camp bot into Scuttle Crab into... Oh, wait, no. Kroko started topside, so he did Red Raptors into Scuttle? I wasn't paying enough attention. I'll have to rewatch that. Red Raptors into bot Scuttle, into bot side camps, into Krugs, into top Scuttle. Plus he gets the Raptors respawn. Meanwhile, Pyosik just full cleared up. And then went for the bot Scuttle? I don't want to rewind, because I don't usually rewind in these VODs. But that was some interesting pathing. And that's Kroko, a pretty serious golden experience lead for the earlier stages of the jungle. Luckily for the side of DRX, they do know everything that's happened. Pyosik will be able to get one of those Scuttle Crabs. He saw Kroko on the Raptors respawn, knows that Kroko had started red side, does some quick maths, saw the bot Scuttle, knows that, Kroko has full cleared and gotten one Scuttle Crab, I can get the other. Given that they'd gotten wards in his bot side and they see him now. Both these junglers have already gone for one reset. Double long sword for the Vi. Boots, Ruby, Crystal for the Poppy. Both just working towards their mythic items. Kroko has been a big fan of the Chempunk Chainsword Rush on Vi. After the nerfs, I still don't really like it. I think it's more acceptable this game into a Gwen Swain comp. But I think it was against Fred at Breon where he just rushed it and there was 0 healing on the enemy team. It was still 12-14, so it had still been nerfed. I was just a bit confused. Dove gets a good cancel into Kingen here. Obviously, Kingen could still go for the reset. He'll catch this wave as it comes in, but he would have to invest the TP. Possibly. Unless Dove is just looking for another cancel. Does not want to let this guy go. Base is successfully channeled, and Dove walks back up to the top lane. So Kingen's actually pretty far ahead in this lane. 16 CS up, and he has teleport advantage. Actually opts to spend the TP there, which I think is fine. He's already way ahead in this lane. Dove's already used this TP. As long as he plays his cards right, this lane is just 1 for him. And Dove needs Kroko to come over and push this wave in while Kroko's still on the top side right now. If I was having to play this Horn matchup, that's what I would be saying. Kroko, come help me push. Just because they should know that the Poppy started bot side at this point. Although maybe they don't. They haven't gotten any hard confirmation, but Kroko should just assume, since he didn't see him on either Scuttle Crab, that they started at opposite sides, and Poppy will be pathing up. If Gwen keeps this wave here for another wave, then it's an easy gank onto Dove. He does have some vision onto the Poppy, which will let him know and avoid death, but he'll keep missing minions for it, which really sucks. and he's already 20 CS down. Obviously, the other angle you can look at this for, though, look at this from, is that it's not like the Ornn really needs any CS. But you can see how much he's hurting for gold. Opts for the Lucidity boots just to keep spamming his spells on the wave. Saka and Pioshik rotating up. Dev knows something's up, backs away. They will trade the Dragon for this, so that's good for the side of Live Sandbox. I think their comp needs to get ahead early, otherwise they'll just get run over in the team fights. So building up to a soul would be a nice step to do it. But it looks like, since they don't have complete vision of DRX, they are backing away. They will see Pioshik on the Rift Herald right now, though. Was looking like a bit greedy for Live Sandbox. It looked like they wanted to both contest Herald and do drag, but looks like they just told Closer, back away, it's fine, we'll give the first Herald. Will be nice. We'll see where Closer, where Pioshik opts to put this Herald. I think accelerating the Zeri is good, unlocking the Swain is good, accelerating Gwen is good. There's really no bad lanes to put it in, but I would really like to see the Zeri get ahead. Just, this champion on 12-14 is so broken. Single-handedly dragged like 7 different teams into playoffs across all 4 regions. Not that the AD carries playing them were any bad at the game, but as you can see, because this wave wasn't pushed in by Kronko earlier, Dove is just bleeding CS. He can't get the wave under. He's down 30 now, really hurting. And the Gwen Ornn lane is already free for Gwen, but it is just getting even freer. Easiest lane phase of her life. Kronko is finally coming back to the top side to get his respawns, but it looks like Dove is just going to reset. It really hurts to reset on the Ornn like that. He's only at half HP, right? And Ornn can obviously build items, so it's not like he's resetting for an item spike. He just recognizes, oh, the wave is slow pushing back out. I'm at half HP. That's not enough. If I get dove on this slow push, Pioshik and Zeka are playing to my lane. If I get dove on this, my lane is just over. I'm down 50 CS, I'm out of the game permanently. So just resets, opts to give up minions in the slow push so he can eventually catch the wave as it hits his tower. You can see he's currently 40 CS down. As these waves stack, right, and Kingen is just last hitting, Dove is going to try and thin it, just in case, right? But since he has no vision of the enemy jungle, if they were still here, right, well, that would be really bad for Pioshik. If they manage to get a dive off on this wave, Dove dies and he's down 50 CS, and the lane is just so over for the Ornn. You can see he's going to try and freeze it here. He does have Bomby Cinder, which makes it a bit difficult, but with 2 melees and a cannon, it should hold, forces Kingen to stay. You can see right here in the experience, Kingen is a whole level over Dove. This is an absolute top canyon, and it's not Dove's fault, it's just the matchup. He might have misplayed one of the earlier waves, leading to that teleport disparity, but there's just nothing he can do at this point, other than have his jungler help him. And unfortunately, Kronko's just power farming on the Vi. Looks like he's opting for a Sunderer Rush over the Chempunk Chainsword. So, happy to see him giving up. I actually do think they need Grievous this game, though, ironically. I'm just a bit worried for Live Sandbox's game state. They're down 500 gold against a massive team fight scaling comp. The only thing Live Sandbox really have going for them in terms of team fighting is an Aphelios and an Ornn. And Ornn doesn't really mean much into Zeri, Gwen. Their front line can easily get knocked away by Pioshik. Or if their backline is knocked away, then it's just game over for their team fights. Dove has managed to close the CS gap. Is only down 30. Will end up being about 35 by the time Kingen catches this wave. Yeah. Well, almost back up to 40. Looks like Dove's just going to fast push this one. Not a lot of action going on, just a sleeper game. Both of these teams seem to have the read that they're the better scaling one. Prince, obviously, is a really good Aphelios player. Just saying, hey guys, let me get my items, I'll solo carry. And DRX are saying, guys, all of our champions scale so much better than theirs. The Herald is invested topside, are getting the plates onto the Gwen. I know I said earlier I'd like to see it onto the Zeri, but just with how ahead the Gwen is, I think this is a perfectly fine pick. Your Gwen is super snowballed, already has her mythic item. Just get her on that second, get her in the team fights, free her out of this lane. The worst place an Ornn can be is freezing in the side lane, catching waves because he's already down 50, right? The Ornn needs to be in the team fights, getting his CC off. So either Gwen just takes this tower and keeps running down the side lane. Looks like Kroko and Pyosik should see each other, so Pyosik won't be able to go for this play. As the Poppy is just chased out of the jungle of Live Sandbox. Good route onto Closer. Obviously Zeka. That's still worth for him, farming the HP off his passive. I don't believe Closer got that cannon minion. We see the Mandate build coming out of the Swain. Thinks that his team will be able to reliably proc it for him, which I think they will, just given the champions on his side. Looks like both of these supports are opting for the Locket of the Iron Solari. Makes perfect sense. Both of their jobs are just to peel their respective AD carries, make sure that they don't die in fights. Pyosik looking for another angle, flash forward onto Kyle. Looks like they're going for the Tom catch. Deft getting some good damage down onto Prince, though. Is flashed on. The Aphelios ult comes through. Deft doing his best to kite, but the Ignite takes him down. Zeka does have first rotation here, but it looks like they're just forced away. We'll see how much Zeka can get done here. Pops the ult. Looks like he doesn't think he'll get much more. Good dash onto Closer. Cleanse forced out of Zeka. Just a spellbook cleanse, though. And Live Sandbox go for their second Drake. Really nice for them. It's going to be a useful Solace game, because Cloud and Ocean have already been taken, so it will be Infernal, Hextech, or Mountain. Halfway to Soul is pretty big for this comp. If it's an Ornn, if it's a... I'm getting tripped up. If it's a Mountain Soul, obviously that's great for the Ornn Vi. If it's Infernal, obviously fantastic for the Ahri and Aphelios. Looks like it will be. Another benefit of the Infernal map is that it kind of sucks for Poppy. She loses a lot of her wall stun angles, whereas if it had been Mountain, Poppy would have gotten more of them. Still see, though, DRX, 1k in the lead. Pretty much all of this is just kingin'. Both AD carries on their mythic items. I think Zeri dying once early isn't the end of the world, right? Luckily for DRX, the reason that kill even came through is that Sandbox opted for the Ignite instead of Exhaust, and I think you really need Exhaust for the champions on DRX's side in the late game. Once again, this is just my personal analysis, but I think that the current game state is really favored for DRX with how ahead they are on their current composition. I think one of the main weaknesses Aphelios faces, right, is that he's one of the shorter range AD carries, especially on the guns that do a lot of damage, right? On White Gun, he's super low range. We're having another look at this replay. Kyle, really nice flash on the Poppy E, cleanses away the slow by Prince, and then just flash forward by Kroko, ult the Deft, ignite him. The kill does go over to Prince, thanks to his green gun, which is nice. And the support is taken afterwards as well. Looks like we have another scuffle down here. Ult forced out of both of these mid laners. Zeka on the retreat. Knows that Kroko is coming for him. Good flash. Ooh, sidestep on the route by Closer. Really nicely played. TP forward from the Gwen. She is really strong here. I wonder how much damage she can get done. Knows that she's not in any serious threat, but it is 2v5. Flash Charm into the Ornn ult. Kingin really overstaying there. That's really bad for the side of Live Sandbox. Fortunately, no objectives to be taken other than this bot tower. But it is some much needed gold into the pockets of Live Sandbox, as they're going to give up this bot tower and not trade it for anything else on the map. You see, Keegan knows he's strong, right? He's actually going for a bit of a mix. Actually, I don't know how I feel about this. We saw in the LEC Gwen being picked a lot, and then Gwen's going for heavy AP builds. I don't think there's much to say about this replay. Just Closer playing well, good sidestep, good charm. Really nice stuff from him. Kingin right here knows he's strong, wants to get something done since he's invested his ult and TP, but just overstays while looking, isn't expecting the flash charm from the bush, isn't ready to dodge, and is just in the bouncy castle till he dies. We've seen from Gwen's in the west them going for like Everfrost into Shadowflame or Rabadons and just going for these really intense AP builds where their survivability isn't as much, right? And their true damage on the tanks isn't as much. But if they had a full ultimate rotation through the entire enemy team, they will kill everyone, right? Kingan's kind of splitting the difference. Still goes for the Riftmaker, but then also picking up the Shadowflame. Looks like he wants to still deal damage to the front line of Live Sandbox while also one-shotting the back line. It's a bit greedy to split his build up, but overall, I think with the state that Nashor's Tooth and other items, Cosmic Drive, that the CDR on-hit Gwen builds go for being a bit weaker than these pure AP items, I don't think it's the worst decision in the world. I just would have liked to see like the Everfrost down from him over the Riftmaker. Don't think he needs as much survivability, given that he has the Mist. Going back to the point I was making way before that play broke out, though. Prince doesn't have much range unless he's on green and or purple guns. And obviously, if you have purple gun in the team fight, unless you're the one engaging as the Aphelios, it kind of sucks. So he's fairly low range, and Zeri, obviously, with her movement speed, has really high range. The Swain is able to advance really rapidly towards low range carries. Same with the Gwen, both of them opting for Ghost. Actually, I do think Zeka has Flash. I think that's just Spellbook Ghost. But nonetheless, with his ultimate. So we see Pioshik spawning the Rift Herald in the mid lane. Looks like they don't have control, so he moved back a bit to spawn it. Kingan, nice cancel on the Vi ult. Gwen is immune. Quite a balanced champion. Good sidesteps by Closer on the Needles. We'll see if they're able to make this Rift Herald crash. I don't think they'll be able to, but they're pulling everyone into the mid lane to do it. 5v5 here is pretty unfavorable. Gwen is your Fed member and she doesn't have her ultimate, which is what her build is focused around. Looks like they're going for the fight though. Kingan going forward. Damage onto Kroko and Dove. They did knock Prince away, which is really, really big. Ornn ult comes out to save Dove, and the Herald does die before it gets the crash. Both teams have taken pretty significant chunks and invested a lot of their ultimates. Only ones up are the AD carry ultimates. Moving down for the Dragon, I do think that the Lightning Rush is a lot more valuable than the Moonlight Vigil. Actually, I don't know if Zeri's ult is called Lightning Rush, but that sounds cool. Ult comes through, she's going to start stacking up the movement speed. Kyle should just be dead, he's in the backline. Prince gets a really massive Gale Force Infernum ulti. We'll see if the Zeri is able to trade anyone back. Zeri is really what this fight is hinging on. Both teams really, really low. We'll see if Deft has the confidence to go for it. Looks like they're just going to back away, and Live Sandbox are going to claim this Infernal Dragon. Really big for them to get on Soul Point at this stage of the game. Oh, don't know why my quality just dropped like that. That was odd. There we go. Sorry about that. Prince with a hero play. Oh! That was almost close as hell. Kroko didn't have smite. And that's completely blind from Deft. So we'll have another look at this fight. Zeka gets a good root onto Kyle, and Kyle sort of leaps forward really deep. No one else can help him, as Deft just guns him down. And you'll see, keep your eyes on Prince here. Infernal ult, Gale Force forward, gets a Q, and just absolutely shreds through. The W goes wide. I think Deft might have claimed Dove if he'd connected on that one. Looks like Poppy engaging onto Closer in the top side. Nothing much to be had there. Zeka opting for the Zhonya's. Obviously, the item is good on the Swain, but with the Mandate build, you really want to get that Rylai's. They're two-manning the Baron right now. We'll see if DRX can figure out that something's up. Aphelios is obviously able to do this with green-white guns. Dove and Kyle are kind of selling this. They're kind of giving it away. But it looks like DRX still hasn't seen anything. I'm impressed that DRX didn't bother to check the Baron pit when Kyle and Dove are playing so aggressively there. Meanwhile, Kingan finding a good turn. That's 3 kills. Losing the Baron does hurt, but picking up some of those shutdowns, being able to get control of the map. Are they going to get Prince too? He does have Flash. Pioshik will get charmed here and die. Oof. Pioshik doesn't have Flash, so obviously an engage is impossible there. They do get the mid tower though. So, not the worst sequence of events for DRX. Reset comes through. Lord Dynamics regards. and a BF Sword and Quick Cloak. Prince was on so much money there. So you can see here, like, Kyle and Dove have no reason to be guarding this choke point in the river, unless their team's on Baron. But Kyle's kind of... We see Pioshik burn the flash onto the Vi there to pick up the kill. Then Kingdom just snips forward. Good ultimate onto closer. Pioshik really wanting that engage, but it looks like the rest of his team can't follow, and he's just punished for it. Sums up the replay there. But still, really nice pickup by the side of Live Sandbox, sneaking away that Baron, knowing that Aphelios can do it over the wall with green-white, and just trusting that DRX won't face check into them. We'll see what they're able to get with this Baron play. Only a minute and a half left now that everyone has finally respawned and they're getting their waves back out onto the Rift. Might just be just one mid-outer tower. Kind of sucks for a Baron power play, but at the very least they made it so DRX can't get the Baron. Once again though, I am still worried for Sandbox's comp. I think this is where they're strongest, right here where the Ahri is able to make picks, where the Vi is able to follow up on those and still deal damage to the carries before Zeri has her Infinity Edge. She's only 1.2k away. I think once that comes through, it might just be game over for Live Sandbox, so I'd really like to see them get more with these last 40 seconds of Baron. Looks like they're just going to end up taking all the outer towers. Only will end up being like a 1.5k gold lead for them, assuming Kingdom doesn't trade back. What's more important what they've gotten with this Baron is if you're looking at the map, they have so much control, vision everywhere in both the mid lane and the top half of the map. Drake will be spawning in a minute 20. Luckily for them, DRX have to fight this. This is soul point, right? If they give over an Infernal Drake to the Aphelios, it will just shore up those late game weaknesses compared to the Zeri. If you get an Infernum ulti like you did earlier with Infernal Soul, I'm pretty sure you will just one-shot like Aphelios on release, where his ult had like 600% crit scaling, and just clicking R meant that you won the game. Kingen looks a bit caught here. Should know something's up because the ward came through. Barrel behind. Deft is also in a flanking position. Prince is in the river though. And Zeka's nowhere to be found. They're a bit far forward. Good flash by Barrel. Shouldn't die here. Going forward onto Kingen. Good solar flare. Forces the flash out of Kroko. Really awkward chokes for both of these teams. Prince is able to go forward. So if Sandbox don't really want to fight, but at the same time Zeka's nowhere near, so DRX don't want to fight. Just forcing some ults and some flashes away from everyone. Overall, pretty worth it for Live Sandbox. They get the flash out of Deft, and Barrel's just inting. Will they get Dove back for it, or Kroko? Deft is in a position to deal damage. Zeka's in the backline, so is King, and this could be huge. The needles go a bit wide onto Prince. He's about to run out of the chakrams, though. Infernum gun for Prince. Keep her on the ult. Moonlight Vigil goes wide. That's really, really big. Deft is still able to free fire. They should pick up Kyle here in a second. Another kill for the Zeri. Pioshik just looking for Kroko. Oh, I was looking at the top of the map. Looks like Prince hit some good skill shots as the closer, and that might just be the game for Live Sandbox. That fight was really, really close. You can see what happens as DRX's comp scales more. They really just shouldn't have picked their earlier fights on the Dragon and the Herald and lost everything. Deft just gets outplayed by closer. Barrel's not quick enough on his ult finger trigger. Infernal Soul will go over. It's technically not game over. Obviously, they still have plenty of towers. Baron's not up for another minute, and the team comp does still scale. But Deft didn't have the Infinity Edge before that fight. Let's just take a look at how this starts off. Scuffle. Barrel is claimed. Ult comes through by Deft, so he really wants to stack up the charges now and get some memento going. Kingen and Zeka get some really nice flanks. Prince cleanses the slow and dodges the ults from the Gwen, which is really, really big. Oh, and the turret just gets so much damage out onto Zeka. He flashes away. Let's have a look at this bottom half of the fight that I missed. Charm onto Kingen. Wow, Prince's damage is just ridiculous. Really well played by Prince and closer. And then just right here, Deft has no right to be up this close. He should know that the Ariel is coming back up. That was a really clean dash from Closer. I wonder how he achieved that. I do play Ari from time to time. I guess that was his third dash charge, and because the soul got stolen right as he did it, his dash refreshed, even though normally there's a lockout period. I didn't know that Ari could do that, but that's pretty cool. Infernal Soul claimed for the side of Live Sandbox. They're obviously in a really favorable position. The Infinity Edge has finally come through from Zeri, so these fights still need to be played out really well. 3k gold lead plus the Masterwork items. Ult comes through onto Kyle, trying to pull them off of the Baron. We'll see if the Gwen ult is able to get some value in this game. Gwen is immune. Zeka engaged on. Good. Gwen ult manages to shred through the entire part. Prince is just being forced away by Zeka. Good team fight by DRX. You can see what happens when they've skilled up, when they have their items. They're corralling them. Closer, looking for some damage. Ooh. Does dash away from P06 engage. Hits the charm. Red-white on the Aphelios, but he is fairly low range, so while it's normally do not fight, as long as they just don't get blown up and Gwen is able to nullify, never mind. Unless Deft can make some magic happen here, it will just be the game for Live Sandbox. Oh, Deft? Deft? Good dash? Oh, Zeri can't Q the towers, but there is... Oh, still keeping stacks going. It's possible. The DRX are just playing so impatient. You can see they win these fights the more items they get. It's a tragedy if Live Sandbox win this game. Their team comp is so terrible. It's 100% just Prince solo carrying these fights. And Closer having really good charms, because DRX don't want to play slow and respect. Baron does go through. Should be about a 6k gold lead. We'll have another look at this one. Beryl just going in on Kyle. They're able to get a really nice pick here. And you can see Prince is zoned away by Zeka here. Zeka is just getting a lot of work done. And Prince is too low range to really DPS without getting rooted. Good charms from Closer. The ult times out. And then right here, just King going in way too early. Right into the Moonlight Vigil because his W expires. And Prince has his Infernum Gum and fully stacked Chakrams. Just does so much damage. But you can see right there, he's struggling to get in range of the Zeri. Zeri can just kite him out. But DRX isn't playing to peel Deft. 7k down, 7k gold down, and Masterwork items. The Sandbox are really, really ahead. Should be fairly easy for them to just close this game out, play with their Baron waves, play for picks around Closer. Closer does have his Rabadon, so he's really, really, really strong right now. And also just a really confusing build from Zeka. Gargoyle Stoneplate. I feel like you really need the Rylai's in order for the Mandate build to be worth it. See Krakos charging up. Looks like they might go in on Deft. The Ornhorn does manage to connect with him as Pioshik is rooted up, does manage to flash away. Closer going in, does manage to secure the kill. That might just be the game. No Poppycopter to send the Aphelios out, and he has red-white once again. Good dodge by Deft. As they engage onto Closer, Deft has not popped the ultimate yet. Good damage. Forces out the Tom Kench eat. They might CC lock Deft here. That would be the game if Deft dies. Does have stopwatch. Looks like the game is just over. Yeah. Pretty disappointing game from DRX. Just playing way too impatiently with their composition. I guess they forgot that this game they picked late game scaling, and last game they were the mid game. They're playing their comp this game like they should have been playing last game. But good pickup by the side of Live Sandbox. 2-0 in the series, on the cusp of qualifying for the next round of playoffs. See how that one goes.